Welcome to the Life in Red podcast. This is a way of life that emphasizes positive sexuality, self-love, and confidence. On this journey, red is now your new color. Be courageous. Be passionate. Be sexy. And never stop living your best red life. So now I have one question for you. Are you ready to live your life in red? To join us on this journey, like and subscribe below. If you got sexually assaulted, you were asking for it because of what you were wearing or where you were being slutty and you just didn't say no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, and
that
there's
one
people
sucks.
who
You guys should
have
know
been
this.
assaulted and think that, right? They think that about themselves because that message has been put out there so much, right? Like all of the messages that go to, especially to, I would say probably cis women, right? Or to people with vaginas at some point in time, it's all been about rape prevention from the, hey, here's how you don't get raped thing. I think it was Sarah Silverman, probably, I don't know, 8 years ago, somewhere in there, actually had a list of like how not to rape people. Because it was the idea of,
thank you.
We need to look at the perpetrators of like, here's how you don't rape somebody versus focusing everything on the people who are the survivors, right? Or potential.
100%.
Yeah.
Because okay, I understand. You're repressed. You're not getting laid. You have compulsions, okay? Said rapist. But there are amazing porn sites and there are therapists to help you with your confidence issues. Just because she's dressed sexy and you're getting a hard on does not give you the right to have a compulsion to go bang her.
No.
And
I don't care if she's naked or he or they or whatever. Like, I don't care if that person is naked. That is not an invitation to have sex with them.
No, right? No. And that's old school stuff that dressed. I think it comes from, society. We have evolved. We have moderately dressed women. They didn't show their ankles. So now they show, I think that shoulder. They're showing shoulder. She's a lady of the night. And so they have that program. Harlots. Yeah. Oh, there's a harlot. She has a midriff on. Yeah. So that means she's waiting for me. No, not anymore, guys. Back in the day, fair, but not now. So get over that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I can relate to this one. My guy does this. So cross-dressers are gay.
Right? It's like, it's like throughout, I don't know, when did that start kind of thing? The whole where it used to be transvestites and whatever. Like we were assuming that people were assuming they're gay or that, they're wanting to be a woman. Like, no, they don't. Some people just, it's not even necessarily a sexual turn on. It's a confidence thing. It's a safety thing. Like it gives them comfort.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is, I got faced with, I guess I was probably the universe was getting me ready for the show. That's what I feel like. Because this poor guy hit me with all these. So being from the South, I'm from Georgia. Yeah. So he told me he cross-dressed here and there. And I was like, oh, the taboo part of me was like, got a little turned on. She started growling. But I was like, why? Like, why? I just got curious. Like, what about it intrigues you? Is it, I try to be a safe place. And he told me, he goes, sometimes I just trust women more than men. And he had a very close relationship with his mother, not his father. Yeah. And so it makes me feel pretty. It makes me feel safe. Yeah. I feel beautiful. Sometimes I want to feel beautiful. Yeah. And I think they're so forced to be in their masculine men that they're repressed from their femme that they all have.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And then I got it. And I was like, okay, well, if anybody gives you shit, I'm going to put on my Angelina strap on and give it to them. Assholes. Now you're my man. When you're the girl, I'll be the guy. That's cool.
Exactly. Just a little just fluidity, right? It's
Fluidity. We got to keep the polarity going. All right. So we don't have to go too much into this one. That drag queens are pedophiles. I mean,
we've seen that a lot more in the most, I don't know what, the last 5-6 years,
really?
where, yeah. And I don't know. Sometimes in Canada, we like to think we're better than U.S. American people. I'm a dual citizen, by the way, so if I make fun of Americans, I'm allowed to. I swing both ways.
You're a switch.
I'm a bi-citizen, a switch.
Bi-citizen switch. There you go. I'm with you.
I was seeing, it was like a couple of years ago, I remember seeing people there was, I can't remember, there was probably a name for it. They were reading children's books at the local library, in drag. And there was people protesting and oh, they shouldn't be around their children. And, oh, they're, they're these bad influence, or they're pedophiles. They're going to take advantage of children. And it's no, they're just do some freaking slaying it with their makeup and their outfits and wanting to read some books to some kids.
Yeah, just wanting, they're owning who they are bravely.
Yes.
And trying to show that, look, we are people too. We want to help children. We want to help this or that. Yeah.
Exactly. It's they're trying to give back to their communities and getting shit for it. Am I allowed to swear on here, by the way?
Yeah. I'm waiting to see how far I can get away with it before I get in trouble. Excellent. So I think it's fine for now, and we'll find out later if it's not. So, yeah. No, we had okay, so it's ironic. I moved to a place called Cumming, Georgia. And one of the top companies in Cumming is Seaman. All right, so yeah, it's not, and Oprah Winfrey actually went down.
Is there also a come and go there?
Well, no, but that would be
there
awesome.
Needs to be. Why is there no come and go in Cumming, Georgia?
Yeah, no. So I'm on Facebook. I rarely get on, but I see an ad. Someone sends it to me. Can you believe this? And it was drag queens doing something with children. And I know it was them making a point, but they went to Cumming, Georgia, which is known for being the most racist city in the United States that was not progressive. I found out Oprah Winfrey did a documentary there. Oh, wow. And I'm like, how brave. This is they're doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
This is a movement. And I had to be, and the people sending it to me were not close friends of mine, but people I was associated with. And they were like, can you believe they're doing this? I'm like, hell yeah, I can. I'm going. And I'm bringing my kids. And I was like, they need support. And they were like, aren't you afraid that some of the white supremacist KKK people are going to do something? And I'm like, I mean, maybe I won't bring my kids. And it's not because of them. It's because those assholes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So ridiculous.
I know.
All right, here we go. If a man turns down a woman for sex, he's not a wait, no. Sorry, I left my glasses. Okay, we got drag queens or pedophiles. Ooh, if someone identifies as bisexual, they just have not decided if they're gay or not yet.
Mm-hmm. There's so much erasure around bisexuality, right? It's the idea of, oh, well, you're just, and I don't know, they kind of get screwed from, it's you kind of get screwed from both sides, just not in the good kind of way. It's from, a lot of folks, even in the 2S LGBTQ community, will say those kind of things of oh yeah, you just haven't figured it out yet. You're really gay. You're just not ready to admit it. And then folks on the hetero side of things also can sometimes think that, right? And then not knocking pansexual people or anything like that, but pan is relatively new. It's sort of the bisexual 2.0. And I guess, and I'll throw this out there too, there will be people who identify as bi, who are I like people who are a woman or a man, whether they're trans or not. Maybe they're not into non-binary, right? But for a lot of folks who are bi, it's about the person. So it doesn't matter what's between your legs or how you identify, it's an attraction to the person, right? And it's this fluidity, this flexibility, right? And it
So
isn't about just haven't decided yet, right?
Well, I think like and the next one is bisexuals only date cis men or cis women,
Mm-hmm.
and that also bisexuals are more likely to cheat. Like we'll go ahead and
Right.
say all this because we're just here in this realm of bisexuality.
We're in the biosphere.
And we're in the biosphere, bisexual people. We're here. We got your back.
We're here, we're queer.
Or your front. Whatever you
Whichever you prefer. Yeah.
Yeah. Whichever you prefer. That's so crazy. I never thought that the LGBTQ community had that's so hard. Has I never thought about that the stigma on that side, like you just haven't chosen yet. Yeah. Like I could see it from the other side clearly, but that's interesting. And you know, like I don't know. I think we put so much premise, and this is my opinion, on needing an identity. I know we need an identity for safety because we're animals. Sure, we need an identity, but we're in an age. Yes, we like boxes, but we put so much premise on needing to find our box because we've been so suppressed through this patriarchy and all these things for so long that now we're out. So it's box, 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 box. I'm hoping eventually we get to a place of, my name is Brittany, and I'm whatever the F I want to be.
Exactly.
You know, what's your name?
Yes.
I don't need to, you know, and today I like, cause there was one point fantasy wise, I preferred women.
Yeah.
But in my sexual acts, I prefer men. But and a lot of it could have been Christian taboo mechanisms. I don't know. Who knows? But it's like, leave people alone. Let them be what they are.
Yeah. And folks can identify how whatever works, whatever they feel is a right fit for them. And it does at times can shift and change as we get older, as we learn more about ourselves. And it's also, our sexuality isn't determined by who we're actually having sex with, right? Or who we're dating at that moment or in a relationship with. Somebody can be bi and dating, and if we'll say you're a woman dating another woman, that doesn't necessarily mean that you now have to be like identifying as a lesbian. Like, you can still identify as bi. Like, and you can have it's about attraction too. I don't know, later on, if you ever feel like as you're Googling Sue Johansson and all these other things, you can look up the gender-bred person, and it gives a really good description of the differences between gender expression, sexuality, orientations, and all those different facets of who we are. Right?
It's fascinating. It's because we put all these limitations on ourselves, and as they unravel as we get older, and we know that we're going to die, we care less. So that we find ourselves, and it's hopefully people could find it a lot earlier because there's less judgment. But it's like, I now have a freedom myself, and you know, where I think I was afraid, like I still have the old paradigm because I'm working through old programming from almost a cult. And so it's like, is it a choice? Well, I have not chosen to be attracted to women yet. I still have that. I just am not. I'm not sexually aroused. Like, I even tried. I was like, let me be open because I don't feel guilty anymore. There was nothing there. And I'm like, okay, I like dudes.
Like
cool.
Gave that a go.
Yeah. So, but no, the bisexuals, and I have my own, I can say I had my own myths built into me about bisexuality. Like you're saying, that means just because someone comes out as bisexual and they're with you in a partnership, that doesn't mean they want to go out and bang the other sex. It may, like, if they've never done it before.
Talk about it, and like everybody gives like the green light and everybody's okay with it, and like that can be done, right? Like
it can be. Okay, so this one's very relevant for to me. Sex workers and people in S&M all have abuse history. I have heard this from a close friend of mine. I hope you're watching this.
No. I know that you're wrong. Yeah.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're bad. No, I'm joking. Sex workers and S&M, because I'm in the S&M community, and I've got I'm very open, though. I don't hide behind the name. I'm very open. I don't protect myself at all. And so much.
No safe words.
It's because your trauma. No safe words. There's none. It's all good. But I'm like, yes, there's trauma. Yes, sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't take away from the choice. I don't know. What do you say about this?
There's a lot of people who have trauma who don't go into BDSM. Like,
right.
There's folks who go into BDSM who there's no trauma. Like, so it's just labeling a whole group of folks that, there's something wrong with you. There's trauma. Like, you're just trying to work through it or something. Like, some, yeah, some absolutely not. Like, some people, it's just fun. Right. And it's, why not?
Mm-hmm. Why not? Well, that's, I have a lot of cam girlfriends, and I'm in the community. I'm very close with certain platforms. And I mean, I've talked to them. I've asked them this question because it's so big, such a big myth.
Yeah.
No, I chose this. I'm an independent contractor.
Yeah.
I make my hours. I make good money. I am performing. It's a show. It's fun. It's hot. Because a kink, for instance, is being watched while you, I like this one, where people are watching you have sex. So there is a bit of stimulation that a lot of you normies and healthy people like, who haven't had trauma.
Exactly.
You know?
Like, and it's one of those ways that people can fulfill that kink in a legal way, right? Versus being out there like, the guy, the old thing of like the guy in the trench coat
flashing,
right? Like, that's exhibitionism, right?
Oh,
and
that would be so cool if there weren't kids around, though. Like let's put the kids aside. Like, we don't want
everyone
that.
Is consenting. Like, we're good. Yeah. Like,
that would be so fun. Well, girls get to do it, and like woo. But I guess guys just don't get to.
That was the entire month of March for where I grew up in Florida.
Yes.
Spring break. That was like,
that's what I was.
That's how people earned the beads. Like, woo. Like.
Yep. I'm thinking Carmen Electra, take me back to late 90s, early 2000s. It's, spring break, Florida, Daytona. All right. So here's a good one that I find very interesting, that poly is an excuse to cheat if you're in a polyamory dynamic. It's an excuse to cheat. How would you define that myth? Like, what does that mean exactly? It's an excuse to cheat.
It's like people think that, they want to just go and have sex with a bunch of other people, or they, want to cheat but have it be okay.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not the case, right? Folks, I think what happens with most of these myths are there's that small little section of folks who maybe that is a thing, right? Who do perpetuate that myth because maybe it's true for them, but it's not true for everybody. Right? There's lots of folks where part of just what they love about it is getting to see their partner being pleasured or like being excited about somebody else, and being able, like, I've known folks where they would, they'd go on their dates or whatever, and then they would like just love to come home and like talk about it and like talk about their date and like how it went, and like just had so much fun with that, right? So there's a term called compersion, which is just getting this delight and like enjoyment out of seeing your partner just being happy and excited. Like,
I watched the Throuple. I don't know if you saw the reality TV show that was on Netflix, or I think it was Netflix, on Throuples. And they were trying to find, it was a dating show sort of about them trying to find a third and picking someone, all these different couples. It was I had to watch it because it triggered me in the best of way. I needed to push myself. And so I'm watching it, and I'm like, they talked about, how do you say the word again?
Compersion.
And they talked about that. They were helping the couples work through, because it was their first time dealing with a third. And they were teaching them about that. That is something you can
Yeah.
acquire.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. I mean, and I still have to work on that because we're such a self-focused world. So to get pleasure out of, I think it's the fear of loss.
Yes.
That
It's a
the
threat, right?
FOMO.
It's that jealousy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I can get
they're
happy.
gonna like this person more, and they're gonna, it's that fear that like, oh, you're gonna leave me because you're gonna think this person's better.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to being able to have both.
It is. We think that the newer thing is better, but it's like, wait, you're the thing they've been with longer, that they have more memories with. But if we could even get outside of that, it's not about ownership and possessive love. That I'm nowhere close to. I'll be honest, nowhere close to it. At this point, I identify as monogamous because, like, even the idea, I get so afraid, so afraid. But it is definitely a myth, though. Okay. Take this, guys. This one's definitely wrong. Men who like anal play are gay.
Woo! Oh yeah. See, if you like getting it in there, must be. Right?
You must be gay.
Yep. Like, no, it's just another pleasure center in our bodies. Like,
yep. Well, I talked to my boyfriend last night because I did an episode on pegging prior to this. And I was like, so I just found out that you guys got this little ring and that you can have multiple orgasms too. And he was just like, and I was just like, yay. And he was just like, I said, have you ever had anal play? And he was like, no, I don't like it. And he's not afraid of being a certain way or anything like that. He says it's too vulnerable for him. And he goes, I'm a control freak. It's too vulnerable for me. He like knows why. But I was finding out they can have multiple orgasms. It's not a gay thing at all. It actually can be just very pleasurable. And then they feel shame.
Are afraid to try it. Exactly. Like, because there's that fear of like, oh my God, I liked that. Does that mean I'm gay?
I've had guy friends that happened too, and they got stuck in the OCD spiral of, am I gay? Am I gay? Am I gay? I'm gay. Because there's a lack of information. It's like, no, if you haven't been staring at Wix your whole life and you haven't been like, ooh, there's Brad Pitt. Oh, if you haven't felt aroused and it's not every case, but if you haven't been fantasizing or aroused about same sex, you may not be, and you just like pleasure. There's a difference between sexual orientation and pleasure.
Absolutely.
Okay, this one's so fun. Old people don't like sex,
right?
There's no
what's
way.
The cutoff? Like 60, 65? Like,
it goes
over
away
from there.
Sex doesn't exist.
Like,
you just
there's
don't want to imagine them having sex. People.
Well, especially
that's like, what it is.
There's folks where they're in a care home or a nursing home, and like their family is just like, and their kids are just like horrified that like grandma wants to get some, or like she's got this new boyfriend, and maybe they walk in to go on visiting day or something, and they're doing something. Like, you never know. Then they'll try to instruct the staff to not let them do that. Right? And
that sucks. You're not allowed to have sex in this place. They should.
Right? It's like, good Lord. Like,
no.
I don't care where I'm at that point in life. Like, I want to still be able to have fun. And like, we don't need to treat them like they're children, where it's like, oh, you're not allowed to have sex. Right? Like, these are full-grown adults who have been having sex their entire life. And more power to them if you are still into it at that age. Right? And sex also changes. The idea of sex changes as we get older. It does sometimes take a little bit longer for arousal. It does take a little bit more, I don't know, sometimes medical help for people with penises. But that's just part of life, and that's okay. But they are still allowed to have some sex. Like, we just need to, like, I don't even think in a lot of nursing homes and care homes, they're not supplying condoms, which they should be, because I can't remember what the stat is, but there has been some STIs, right? Because they are still want sex,
They're
right?
still human.
Like, exactly.
They like
Right.
pleasure. Oh my God. If your grandma enjoys a meal at the table and goes, "Oh, this is delicious," it's like Jeff Foxworthy. She might like sex instead of she might be a redneck. If your grandma enjoys a hot cup of coffee in the morning, oh, this is good. She might like sex because she enjoys pleasure.
Exactly.
Oh, well, it's like the Villages down in Florida. I think it's called the Villages. It's like the
Yeah.
highest STI ranking. I'm like, they're getting it on.
Right. Hey, they're having fun.
They're having
That's all that
fun.
matters.
Yeah, and I talked to a lot of my friends are older, they're in their 60s, and I've talked to them, and it's a mixed bag. Some of them said they had to get on hormones
Mm-hmm.
to feel arousal.
Yeah.
And then, but there's some, I've talked to some women past 60 who have not. They still wanted to have fun. They still were feeling,
Yeah.
I know we dry up, things happen, but there's things you can do. And we're redefining in our culture what sex is. The progressive we're progressing to a place of what is sex? Is it penile penetration? Foreplay? What is sex? We're redefining what sex actually is, which is cool. All right, last one. If a cis woman has a larger dildo or vibrator than her husband's penis, isn't a big enough. It's not big enough, and he's not good in bed.
Right. Yep.
No.
Yeah. No. Like.
No.
Like, and it doesn't mean that, it's like, oh, it's going to get stretched out because it's too big, so you won't be able to feel my penis, right? Like, that's, no, it's designed to have babies come out of it, like, and it
go back.
goes back to its normal regular size, and they're all different size. Like, it's kind of one of those things that I remember when I was teaching this class, I actually had I don't have my picture of it, but they had done vaginal casts where you could see what they like, the different depths and like, different shapes, and like where the cervix was, and like I guess because we don't see it, like we don't go around and see a lot of internal parts of people with the vagina.
Yeah.
We can see penises are all different, right? But why would we assume that like somehow a vagina they're just all the same? Like there's like a factory default that they just all come with?
No. Well, there's more a factory default. It seems like the average dildo comes I know there's smaller ones, but they make them like pretty big. Like the average sizes are like 5-6 inches. So it's like we go on Amazon, we're like, oh, we're really thinking, guys, you would have, like, at least me, I'm not going to represent everyone. I like that color. That one's pretty. Ooh, it has a little bunny ear. Oh, this one does this too. And it's more the vibration. It's not the size for me. It's like, for me, if it's too big, it's almost like, ooh, like, cause I know it's about 2 inches in on this V. Like, I don't need 10, but my partner, when I got my rose delivered, it was not a dildo, but there were those fears in him about, are you not going to want sex with me? And after the porn thing, I was like, tables have turned. Maybe not. No, it was amazing. The orgasms are very powerful with those, but it still does not take away from a completely different experience with another being.
Yeah.
So size. So let me ask, this is a myth. It could be a myth. The Kegel exercise thing, because you're saying we're all different sizes. Because I've had 2 kids do Kegel balls and stuff like that. Do you know, like, did those actually tighten you?
So it's one of those that it kind of depends on what's going on. So, whether you've had kids or not, we can all experience pelvic floor dysfunction, right? So it's about the pelvic floor muscles. For some, sure, we need to tone them, and Kegels are one of the exercises that you can do. Though I always recommend, if you are concerned about your pelvic floor, go and actually see a pelvic floor physiotherapist, a physical therapist, right? Like, they will tell you what you need to do, because it's one of those that, if for some people, you can experience, the whole thing of like, oh, if you've had kids, you like, cough too hard, or you
You
sneeze, or you
pee.
laugh and you pee a little. Like that can happen for folks who haven't had kids. Like, because it, again, has to do with the pelvic floor. So for some folks, it might be that it needs to be a little bit more toned. For some people, it actually is, maybe it's a little bit not fully relaxed. So you may be tensed up more often, and that can cause some of the similar issues. So Kegels in that case may not actually be the best thing to do. So talk to your healthcare provider, go see a pelvic floor person, and see what they recommend, because there are different exercises that target different muscles in there. And again, they can tell whether it's like, are you too tensed up and we need to learn how to like get you to fully relax, or are you just needing a little bit more tone?
That's interesting, because I do, my kids love it. We go to the trampoline park. I have a redhead. She's a little sadist like I am. And she's like, we go to the trampoline park. They're like, Mom, you want to jump? And I'm like, damn it. Society's pressure of being a good mom. And I'm like, okay. And they know what they're doing. I start jumping and I'm like, damn it. And they're waiting for it. They laugh. Ha! You peed yourself. So it's from jumping, but I think mine could be tense. It could be more too tense or whatever. But I think that's good to know, because I went ahead and got the Kegel balls and I've just never done it. But I'm glad to know. I'm just going to go talk to my doctor. Like, yeah. So I'm glad we talked about that.
Good.
Well, this was awesome. I hope you guys at least... these were pretty deep ones. These were ones that have affected a ripple effect of shame and hatred and judgment. These are big myths that we have debunked today. And if you disagree, you're allowed to. But I am finding, coming from where I was the people who were backing these myths. And I have lived it. I have been through the experience. You hear it from our expert, Sarah. I have lived the experience as well, where I know this isn't true anymore. It can free you up for so many beautiful things of inclusivity with other people. So
absolutely.
Well, Sarah, if
myth busting as much as we can.
Yes, let's do it. Mythbusters. Woo! So Sarah, do you offer virtual help, or how do people find you? Where do they come see you?
So I can be found through the ASECT website. Though with the US, there is licensing for therapists is very state dependent. So I'm not licensed down there. So there's things that I can either kind of point you in the right direction. If you do reach out and are looking for somebody, we'll figure out what state you're in. I can see who I can recommend. Or if you just have questions, sometimes I can answer those. But if you're in Canada,
so if you're Canadian, all you U.S. people, not good enough, okay? But you Canadians, reach out. You got to be a dual citizen. Come on, guys. But reach out to Sarah if you're in Canada. And I hope this at least helped you guys. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show with me today. This was fun.
Great time. You were very gentle for my podcast virginity. I can now say I'm no longer a podcast virgin.
I keep popping cherries. I love this. I love it. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for keeping it red today. And don't forget to question everything. All right. We'll see you next time in Life in Red. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining the Life in Red today, where we embrace passion, confidence, and positive sexuality. Keep painting your journey in bold red strokes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us so that you never miss out on living your best red life. Ready for more? Stay passionate, stay red. See you next episode.